Good morning, and I am in a super good mood today, and I'll tell you why. Number one, the sun is shining here in my old Kentucky home. I came up to my little house because my girl will be up here after a while to eat lunch before she goes to work, and I can hear lawnmowers. People are mowing their yards. Of course, this one has already been mowed a couple of times, but that's just the signs of summer, and that should cheer anybody up. So, the other day we were talking about glimmers. That's like little spurts of joy that you might have throughout the day. And if you've never thought about that before, just think about just a little pop of happiness that you might see, and somebody might call you and say, "Hey, would you like to go out and get some ice cream?" Now that would make me real happy because I love ice cream. But just different little things, just like seeing a plant, one of your plants bloom out. That's a little glimmer of joy, isn't it? Happiness. So, anyway, I want to tell you about some glimmers that I've had. The number one glimmer. Oh, did I say that today is Wednesday, April the 23rd? Where has this month gone? My goodness. All right. School's going to be out in a snap. The first glimmer I had was yesterday whenever my friend, one of my best friends, I've got to tell you about my friends one of these days. I have, including me, there were 10 of us girls that grew up in elementary school together, and we're still friends today, most of us. One of them has passed away, but at 73, that's pretty good. But we had such a good life together growing up, and friendship and love and care for each other, and we still do. But anyway, I'm still friends with about all of them, but of course one I talk to almost daily, and if she needs me to ride to the doctor with her, I'll try to, or if I need somebody to ride with me. Well, my girl loves my friend, and she calls her auntie because she's as close to her as an aunt would be. And she can really depend on her more than she could actually some of her aunts. So that tickles my friend because she's only got one son and two grandchildren, and so she's got a small family. So anytime we go anywhere, my girl will say, "Is Auntie going with us?" And I think, well, what about me? I'm the most important. Of course, she has to make a joke out of that. But anyway, do you know that I have got those three? It was a little over 3 dozen of eggs. She took them. I was so glad because I know she'll use them. And then I told her, I said, if you can't use them all, to give some to her sister or to somebody, and she will. She's very frugal and will use them, and so I'm tickled about that. That was quite a glimmer because I don't like to waste stuff. Now, another little glimmer was Monday night was supposed to be the senior night at softball. So it's what they would do is they were 6 seniors this year. That's a lot to graduate in 1 year. They was going to have a little powwow, and the parents would walk out on the field with them, and they're introduced, and everybody claps and blah blah blah. So I don't like to make a scene of myself like that. Plus, whenever this hair, and this 73-year-old walks out on the field, they'll think, who is that? Her great grandmother? And here all these other kids have got these young parents like in their 40s, and then here I am. But everybody about knows that by now. But I don't like to make a scene, and they announce your name over the loudspeaker and all that. So Monday, it rained all day. Hey, that was a glimmer because I was so thankful. I didn't want to go so bad. And I thought, well, if they don't have it Monday night, they'll have it next week. And, if we can put it off in the future, that's good. So then last night was an FFA banquet, which she was going to get a big plaque for a speech she gave a while back and won and she's going to state competition in June, and she's just thrilled to death. Of course, you know, ag is her thing. Would you know that since it rained Monday, they canceled senior night at softball and had it last night? So here was 2 events in one night. So what are you going to do? Well, she wasn't going to go to the ball game last night anyway because she was so excited about getting that big plaque last night to be awarded that. So this is what happened. At 5 o'clock, I met her at the softball field. And here's all the moms and dads, you know, with their kids. And here's me, because my husband's not able to go. And we walked out on the field. She was first one of the 6 that had to go out. So we got out there and they introduced us and we had pictures made and it was real nice and all that. But I didn't enjoy it. And she'll say to me, she'll say, Mom, I've got a such and such night. And I'll say, do I have to go? And she'll say, Mom, all these parents love going with their kids. And every time you have to go, it's like, oh, me, I don't want to go. And I said, well, it's just because I'm old that I don't want to go. I'd rather stay home and lay on the couch. But anyway, we got through that. But they had the nicest tables set up for each of the girls, the 6 seniors that graduated. And they had a big picture of them, and then they had just some little gifts for them. It was real sweet. But I think one thing that's so sweet they do every year, because I know she's done it, is that they have the kids that are not graduating to write a little note to that senior, you know, like good luck, or I've enjoyed playing ball with you, or blah, 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 blah. So she had a little bag that had some notes in it like that. So then that was over at like 5:30. That was from about 5 to 5:30. So then she races in to the locker room and changes into her FFA garb, you know, which is that jacket, a white shirt, a little tie, a black skirt, and pantyhose and little heels. And then we go over to this other building on the school property, and we do that. Well, that lasted almost 2 hours. But I didn't have to make an appearance or anything. I was just sitting in the audience. But Auntie came to that, and my girl was so thrilled that she came to support her. So then, at the end of that, my girl says, would you go back over to the softball field with me and help me get my little senior stuff, her gifts and all that? And I said, sure, I will. So we went back over there, and she was still dressed in her FFA outfit, and we gathered all that up, and then she stayed for the rest of the game, and I went home. And this morning I got up and thought, oh, it's going to be a beautiful day. I don't have to. I got through those 2 events that I was dreading so badly, which was nothing, but that's what you do when you get old. You don't want to do stuff. That's why you need to have kids when you're young. So remember that. So that's 3 glimmers I've had this morning. Getting through those 2 events, the eggs, and the sun is shining. That's another one for her. And the weather's going to be beautiful today. Now tomorrow, I'm going to have to get up really early because my husband has to go have new scans and new blood work. And then next week we go back to the doctor, to the oncologist, and we'll get the results, which since he's been taking these nuclear radiation treatments, he's had 6 since last fall, like 1 every 6 weeks. We will see what shape his body's in now, which I know it's not good because I can see him going down every day. But I'm thankful that he can still walk a little bit on his little 3-prong walker. He can still eat a little. He doesn't eat much. He can walk to the bed. He can walk to the bathroom. And I'm so thankful for that. But it's sad to see him in the state he's in. He's just not in good shape. But hey guys, that's life. Now, I was thinking about the different phases of life that we have. You know, when you're young and in elementary school and you look forward and you want to go to high school or you want to get your driver's license or you want to be a teenager or all this. Well, I was just going to throw this out. It was last night when we got home. When I got home before she did. When my girl came in, she was going through all of her little softball stuff. And I was thinking after we were looking at all this stuff about the phases of life, about the different phases we go into. And she got that little tote bag that had all those little notes in there that the girls had written her. And I looked, and we was both reading them, and I looked at her, and she was just bawling. And I was so hoping that somebody didn't write something ugly, because you know how girls are. And this girl had written to her and said, you know, how much she loved her and how much she had enjoyed being with her this year, and how that she was a positive person, and how that when they go to Florida, they're going to miss her so badly, because when they go on those Florida trips every year, and see, I never could go, this family would take her with them, just like she was one of theirs, like if they had a family outing or something like that. And I always knew that those moms would be so good to her. And it just had hit her kind of, just a little spurt of, I'm getting ready to graduate from high school and get into the real world. So she read the rest of them, and they were just real sweet, just little notes of encouragement and you know, wishing her well and glad that they knew her. But you know, I have really bittersweet feelings about this, because she's still not got to play hardly any her entire senior year, less than she's ever played all these years. And it's been a really touch and go subject, because at one point I said, hey, if you want to quit, quit. But she didn't. She's hung in there. And I mean, there's still quite a few games, but I admire for, I think she's setting a good example for the other kids, because they know she's the only one that does not get to play. And she's not that bad of a player. She's not going to be a softball star, but she's not that bad of a player. And it's very hurtful. But, you know, in life, we just got to get over stuff. We can't take things so personally that oh, she hurt my feelings because blah, 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 blah. We need to learn, and I can tell you this from my life, that we cannot get our feelings hurt at the drop of a hat. If you do, you're going to be miserable. You got to just get over it. If somebody says, I know I heard somebody say yesterday, if somebody says something to you like, oh, your hair really looks good today, does that mean that normally it doesn't look good, but today it does? Is that going to hurt my feelings? No, it's not going to hurt my feelings. I know that when I was subbing a lot in the elementary schools, if you've ever been in a kindergarten, first, second, or third grade, you can relate to what I'm saying. Those kids can wear you to the bone. And you know, every day at school, you have to go out for recess, unless it's raining or freezing cold. But if the wind's blowing 100 miles an hour and the sun's shining and it's, you know, you can wear a coat out, they want those kids out to get a little of that energy out of them. And by the end of the day, I mean, I would just be washed out. I mean, awful. Well, one of the elementary schools that I subbed at a lot, the Board of Education was right next. You could just walk right over there. And I had a sister-in-law that worked over there. And sometimes my girl and me would walk over there after school to see her for a few minutes. Listen, every time I went in there, she would say, are you tired? You just look like you're worn out. And guess what? It hurt my feelings. But today, it doesn't hurt my feelings to even think back at that, because to me, that was rude of her to say something like that. So even if somebody's hair doesn't look good, or if it does look good, you could just say, you look nice today. You don't have to say, your hair looks good today, or you look worn out. You know, some of our egos and our feelings are right here. So we need to watch what we say to people and just be nice and be kind. I don't know where that came from, but I'm glad you got to hear it. All right. It's about 15. I've talked about 15 minutes, and I kept thinking, what in the world am I going to talk about today? You know, I believe I can just talk about just about anything. I'm excited about some of the girls. I've sent some CDs out of my brother and me singing. Now I want to make a point here. I am nowhere a professional singer at all. But sometime during that little spurt that I told you about in a few videos back, that I started singing and going traveling with my dad, I felt like, and see, this is how the Lord works. You don't realize it at the time, but as Lois says, He goes before us and makes our path straight. And this is just another example. There's many examples of that if you look back in your life. But I was thinking, whenever I started singing, and I don't know why, that I got this wild hair to record a CD. Now, I live in a small town. You know, there's not recording studios just on every corner. In fact, none in this county. But the guy that plays some of the music plays the piano, and he had a little recording studio, and he lived about 30 minutes away. I can't remember the specifics because, see, I'm old and I don't remember a lot of stuff. But this was in the early 2000s that I had called him and said I'd like to record a CD. So he said, yeah. Well, I was scared to death. Who wants to record their voice? And you know, I don't even like to be in front of a camera, and here I am. So, you know, as Lois says, and I've always told my girl, us girls can always change our mind and not have to do any explanation about it. So I decided to do a CD. Well, I did one, and I did another one. I did at least one or two by myself. Just on the CD was just me. And then the Lord just laid it on me. Hey, I need to record my brother. I never thought about him passing away. Never in a million years did I think about him passing away. He was healthy, you know. And our whole lives, even, you know, my dad lived to be 94. He died in 2016, I think it was. So, you know, all of our lives, my brother and I would think, well, when Dad dies, you know, we're going to have his house and have to go through all this and blah, blah, blah. You don't think about like one of us passing away before the other. Have you ever been through something like that? Well, I've got to tell you the story about my brother, but not today because we're running out of time. But I'm so thankful that I got him on recording on CD. He has sang for years with different groups and gone, you know, a lot of places and sang, but he's never made a CD before. And this just worked out so perfectly because the county in which I was recording my CDs was the county he lives in, so it was convenient for him. And so he would sing one, and then our friend that plays the piano, he plays the piano on most of the songs, and it just worked out great. And now I can go back and listen to that and listen to his voice, and it's just such a thrill. And I'm so thankful for that. So thankful for that. Hey, I saw this little saying this morning on Facebook, and I had to read to you, but I've got a funny story that I hope I can read to you. It says, get out there and be the surprise onion ring in someone's French fries today. Now, if you don't get that, that's never happened to you, but how many times have you ordered some French fries and there might be like just regular French fries, there might be one spicy one in there or one onion ring. So if that happens to you, that means give them a little hope, give them an encouragement, a little, you look nice today. Don't say, well, I don't know if you need to say today. Just say, you look nice. Or don't sing anything. All right, just forget it. All right, here's his story. I hope I can read it. A man and his wife are awakened at 3 a.m. by a loud pounding on the door. The man gets up and goes to the door where a drunken stranger, standing in the pouring rain, is asking for a push. Not a chance, says the husband. It's 3 in the morning. He slams the door and returns to bed. Who was that? Asks his wife. Just some drunk guy asking for a push, he answers. Did you help him? She asks. No, I did not. It's 3 a.m. in the morning and it's pouring rain out there. Well, you have a short memory, says his wife. Can't you remember about 3 months ago when we broke down and those 2 guys helped us? I think you should help him. The man does as he's told, gets dressed and goes out into the pouring rain. He calls out into the dark, Hello, are you still there? Yes, comes back the answer. Do you still need a push? Calls out the husband. Yes, please, comes the reply from the dark. Where are you? Asks the husband. Over here. Over here on the swing, replies the drunk. See, I still can't get through that one. I think that is hilarious and could be so true. Hey, it's just going to be a great day. Get out there and smile. And if you want to plant flowers, do. I don't want to, but if you want to, you can do it. Hey, yesterday I stopped at the fruit market. I wish I had time to tell this, but I'm not going to tell it. But I got a tomato and just some little new potatoes about that big. I fixed them in the air fryer yesterday. 2 ears of corn. Got 2 ears of corn. But, you know, it is just ingrained in me because we always had a garden every year to set out onions. And we'd set out tomatoes, plant corn, beans, blah, 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 blah. I've told you all about that. I got 4 little onion bulbs about that big. And I'm going to set them out in the flower bed. Usually we'll get like a pound of onion bulbs. Well, this time I got 4. And I showed them to my husband this morning, and he almost laughed. Now, do you know him? He's not going to laugh at much. Have a great day and smile and just be thankful to all these friends we've got. And I have met a new girl. I'm going to put her channel in the description because I want you to check her out. She has got the sweetest voice and just so sweet. And it's something about living in the Wild West, but it's spelt W-Y-L-D-E, but I'm going to write it in the bottom. I want you to go check her out. She's just got 1,000 subscribers, and she's so excited. And just got the most pleasant voice, and I know you're going to enjoy it. So, have a great day, and we will talk soon, okay? Bye-bye.